Hello and welcome back to You Need to Watch This Movie. I'm your host Ethan, and today's guest is Jack.
Hi, I'm Jack.
Welcome to the podcast, Jack. Today we are going to be talking about a movie that I had never seen before until you came over to my house on a random Friday or Tuesday, and you said, hey, we're going to watch Moulin Rouge. So are you going to do our synopsis for us of what the movie's about?
I would love to, Ethan. So, Moulin Rouge is about this writer named Christian who goes to some place in France called the Moulin Rouge where he dreams of being a big writer in like the Bohemian movement or whatever that was in the late 1800s and early 1900s. The lady's name is Satine. This is important. She's the main love interest.
Okay.
And, well, she's a prostitute, so she doesn't actually love him, but he's in love with her. Even though her job is to make people think that she's in love with them.
Mm-hmm.
So then he just, announces that he loves her, and then eventually Christian and Satine fall in love.
Mm-hmm.
But they have to keep that love secret because Satine is supposed to be in love with the Duke.
Mm-hmm. Who's promised them a large sum of money to renovate the Moulin Rouge.
Yes.
And he will own the deed to the Moulin Rouge, should anything fall through.
Yeah. So then they just go on writing the musical while keeping their love secret, but eventually the Duke figures out that Christian and Satine are in love. So he says that if you talk to Christian again, I will kill the boy.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially. And so Satine she knows that if she tells Christian that, he'll make a huge statement about love and how, oh, love is stronger than death! Something like that.
He's very dramatic.
Yeah, think about Wesley from The Princess Bride.
Basically, yeah.
So she knows that the only way she can save his life is to break his heart. And eventually Christian just gets overcome with jealousy, and the best part of the musical and the movie, you need to watch it. But then, at the end, when they're performing the play for everyone, Satine realizes that, oh, I love him too much, and she says to him, Christian, I love you, and he loves her, and it's all happily ever after, except wait, she's actually been dying this whole time, and that's said right at the start before the plot even begins, that this is the story of her death. It's like a
she's gonna die.
Romeo and Juliet thing.
She dies immediately. Like, that's I think the first line of the movie is Satine is gonna die, essentially.
It's something like that.
Yeah. So, she dies, and it's very sad. But I think the movie sort of ends on a bit of a, well, we're gonna have to move on now. This is his moment of processing his grief, is telling this story.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's Moulin Rouge. One thing we did not mention in that synopsis is that it's a musical.
I mentioned it a few times, but never outright said that, yes, it is a musical, but it's different from other musicals, whereas it's known as a jukebox musical.
Yes, a jukebox musical, for our listeners who are unaware, is a musical that is used songs that already existed. They were not written for the show at all, although I do have a problem with the music in the show. And I think I know what you know what I'm going to say.
I don't.
Well, okay, every song starts and stops and starts and stops. They never sort of get into it and then just keep going. It's very, and Baz Luhrmann, I think, is notorious for this in his movies, where he edits them in a chaotic way, and everything sort of goes in and out and flashes back and forth. Romeo and Juliet, I think, is his biggest example of, I'm going to chaos this thing into the editing room. This is your favorite movie, isn't it? Or it's your sister's favorite
it's
movie?
my sister's favorite movie. I've actually only seen it twice. I don't know why Ethan invited me here as an expert on it.
Please welcome his amazing sister, Grace Bolton.
You can't see it, but I'm doing jazz hands.
Oh, she's a jazz handy individual.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the podcast. Me and Jack, I don't know how much of that, we recorded for 47 minutes. I don't know how much of that is going to end up in our final cut here.
Mm-hmm.
But Moulin Rouge, one of your favorite movies.
I would say it is my favorite movie of all time for, like, so many reasons. The biggest of which being there's nothing more attractive than Ewan McGregor singing. Like, come on.
I can see it, definitely. Although, Eddie Redmayne singing.
Is it embarrassing that I don't know who that is?
Eddie, you don't know who Eddie Redmayne is?
If you tell me, like, oh, he's in this, I'll be like, oh, that
Fantastic
guy.
Beasts and Where to Find Him.
Oh, yeah, I love that guy.
He's Newt Scamander. Yeah.
I love that guy.
He's Marius and Les Mis, which me and Jack talked about.
Yeah, he told me when he got home. He was like, you know who's Marius and Les Mis? I was like, I don't know. And he was like, it's Newt Scamander, and Max met him. And I was like,
Yeah, Max.
Okay.
Max met him in New York when he went to see the revival of Cabaret.
that's so cool.
Where he's playing the MC. And talking about Broadway, me and Jack kind of got into the Broadway show of Moulin Rouge. Which
I have some polarizing opinions about that.
started in 2019, so about, almost 20 years after this movie came out. So tell me about the first time you saw Moulin Rouge.
Oh, so Moulin Rouge is one of my mom's favorite movies, because I wasn't born yet in 2001, and
Yep.
so I obviously didn't see it when it first came out. So it was a movie she really wanted to show to me because it was important to her, and so I was like 11 when she showed me it, and like my first impression of the movie is like can dancers in their underwear, and I'm 11, so I'm like, oh my god. And my mom's like, we don't have to watch this if you're uncomfortable. And I was like, no, I'll keep going. Not because I wasn't uncomfortable, because I was. I just didn't want to hurt her feelings.
That's good.
And then, like, as it's going on, I'm like, this is uncomfortable. I'm not a very comfortable person when it comes to, like, sexual topics. But then I got to, like, the mid part of the movie.
Yep.
And, like, the switch completely flipped, and I was so on board. And then I watched it, like, 2 more times that same weekend, and I fell in love.
Oh, wow. And so you were 11 then. You're now 18, 19. What? When did that happen?
I don't know.
I remember because I texted you happy birthday. You're one of those few people who's in my calendar.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I should put everyone's birthday in my calendar, but only a very select few managed to break through there.
Well, now I feel bad that I don't remember your birthday.
I told you my birthday.
I know you did!
Like 2 minutes ago. Right before we started recording, we were talking about this, and I mentioned my birthday is October 9th.
I know. I don't do well with birthdays. I have friends that, like, I've known for over a decade, and I still don't know when her birthday is.
Yeah. What's Moulin Rouge's birthday?
2001. I don't know the day.
You're supposed to be the expert on this.
I don't know, like, the technical bits. I can tell you about Baz Luhrmann. I could gush about the cinematography.
Yep.
I can tell you why the musical adaptation is so unfaithful, and I don't like it. I tried listening to Elephant Love Medley before I came here, just so, like, I could get the full experience, because I've avoided listening to the musical for so long, but I couldn't make it through it. I hated it so much.
The Broadway version, it cleans up everything for Broadway. It takes every song, and then, me and Emily, who will be on this podcast at some point, dear viewer, wait for that episode. We're probably going to cover some weird French movie that I've never heard of, and it's going to be a fun time. But we were talking about this because she hates Baz Luhrmann, loathes him.
What?
And I have mixed opinions.
What?
I think at worst, his movies can be nauseating to watch, and at best, they're really fun.
Oh my god.
Romeo and Juliet is a nauseating experience at some points. Some scenes are randomly sped up. He turned the saturation to maximum. It's painful at some points, and it's hard to follow. Romeo and Juliet is a weird movie, but it does a lot of fun things, and I think that's one of the strong suits of Moulin Rouge is that it is a really fun time.
That's, I think, like, the main strongest point of Moulin Rouge, is that it's not a movie designed to, like, change your life. Like, I enjoy Moulin Rouge from, like, a deeper personal perspective.
Yeah.
But I think anyone that watches it can still have fun with the movie, and, like, that's the goal. You don't tell people the twist ending of your movie at the start unless, like, you want the movie to be an experience.
Yeah.
It's very Shakespearean in that regard.
Yeah, well, yeah, I love that he tells us that she's gonna die right in the first few seconds. Me and Jack talked about how this movie's Argo-proof when we watched it. When I watched Back to the Future episode coming, as soon as I can get Argo in the studio, you see, when he watched that movie with me, every few seconds, who's that? Does the dog die? What's going on? They can time travel? What's happening? Is that guy young now? Is that the same guy as before? What is happening? So we were like, this movie is perfect because it's telling him everything that's going to happen right at the start, so he doesn't need to worry.
Mm-hmm.
He can just watch the movie and enjoy it.
I mean, like, it's still a very fast-paced movie and definitely hard to follow. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much that I've picked up on, like, previous watches just because, like, I'm able to listen to it now that I understand the basic premise of the plot.
Yep.
Going into the movie on a first watch is actually, like, watching the movie on acid.
I felt like that. Once they started singing "The Hills Are Alive" with the sound of music, I'm like, oh, this is that type of movie.
Oh, yeah.
I don't need to worry about it. I was like gonna follow everything down to the letter, and then I turned my brain off. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna experience drugs without needing them.
Mm-hmm. But that's, I think, like, plays to the movie's strength. Like, it rewards you for second watches and paying attention to, like, the little details that you definitely do not notice on the first watch because it's playing the movie at 2 times speed. But it's also, for the people that don't want to look deeper or don't need a second watch, it's very entertaining and very funny in the way that it does editing.
It's perfect for this podcast, I think. Do you have a favorite detail that you've noticed over your many watches?
Personal favorite detail that I've noticed on, like, my 7th watch of the movie, and I've watched it, like, genuinely 15 times, is from the very beginning, we're shown a bird in a bird cage that's tied to Satine. Like, she has a bird, she coos at the bird once when she feels like her freedom is coming because they've made the deal with the Duke. At the very, very start, when you're, like, going into Christian's apartment, there's a bird cage outside of it, and the bird is still trapped in the cage. Like, it tells you from the very beginning, Satine's dream, she is the bird. She wants to one day fly away, literally in the song, but she never gets free. She just dies.
Yeah.
And, like, it's such a tragedy.
She just dies.
Like, at the start of the movie, they tell you that she dies, but visually, with that bird cage, they tell you that she's trapped and never gets set free. She's stuck in that cage forever.
Damn. And I think Nicole Kidman probably my second favorite part of the movie. She's really is killing it here vocally. I think she's doing the strongest just about everyone there. This movie comes out in 2001, and that's no coincidence. Broadway actors didn't. We get a huge surge of movie musicals in the late 90s into the 2000s. And that's not because Broadway actors just learned to sing then. That's because auto-tune technology actually started working then. And that's when you can really get some of these people into the studio. And this is a big studio movie where they've clearly recorded all these songs ahead of time and got them perfect. And then they go in and lip-sync them.
See, I don't know why this is, but there is a lot of, like, vocal differences in the soundtrack versus the movie.
Yeah.
Like, tons. And I don't know if, like, they re-recorded the soundtrack afterwards.
Yeah.
Because there's a point in Elephant Love Medley, like, right before he starts doing the I Was Made for Lovin' You, where Nicole Kidman sings, like, in a completely different... Key, that's the word I'm looking for.
I love keys.
Completely different key than in the soundtrack, and it's so strange. Like, in the movie, it's definitely out of place and sounds better in the soundtrack.
Yep.
But I don't know what changed or why they would, like, fix it after the movie was out. It's something that's weird, but...
This is a movie that I think is unsoundtrackable. Just watching it, I went through the soundtrack and I'm like, these do not seem to align with what's happening in the movie. And half the songs don't seem to be on it.
Yeah, they skipped out on, like, some of my favorite songs in favor of, like, the Bollywood one at the end that's, like, ambiguously racist.
But it's also pretty not racist for the 1890s.
It's definitely not intended to be racially and culturally insensitive.
Yeah.
Like, Baz Luhrmann has stated in multiple interviews that he adores, like, the culture and the visual style of India, which is why he put it into Moulin Rouge.
I feel like they could have leaned into it more. You look at some of these plays that are coming out in the 1890s. I think of The Mikado, which is in England, but just over the channel, where these are horribly racist plays today. So you have, what was I had lost my train of thought.
1890s.
Oh, 1890s.
Horribly racist.
Yes, horribly racist. The Mikado is a play about Japanese businessmen, written by two playwrights who'd never been to Japan or met a Japanese person. And it's hilariously terrible and has no clue what Japanese culture is actually about.
Yeah.
And I think like they could have played on that a little bit more, made it a sort of more cartoonish style there.
I think that
the
would have
movie.
made it more obvious
Yeah.
that it's supposed to be playing on that. But I think Baz Luhrmann also wanted to appreciate Indian culture while
Yeah.
doing that. Because, like, it's something he's very passionate about. Specifically, like, the maximalist style.
Yes.
Which him and his wife are, like, so into when it comes to their movies. Like, she's the one that does all of the costuming and the set design.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
I didn't know
There's
this.
such a good duo together because like he has a vision and she's fantastic at executing it in this beautiful style.
This wasn't my favorite Baz Luhrmann movie, believe it or not.
Which is
The Great Gatsby.
oh,
I
but
love
it's
the,
so good.
I really like The Great Gatsby.
I actually only watched The Great Gatsby like a couple months ago for the
Wow.
first time.
I think that it's sort of where he hones in this sort of filming style and we're going to fast pace everything. And I think that that movie highlights one of my favorite parts of Moulin Rouge that I got into with Jack. That this movie might be set in the distant past, but he's able to create this version of the past that is related to us.
That is entirely on purpose and inspired by specifically Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I did this research project in grade 12 about Baz Luhrmann because my film teacher, he was like, you gotta pick a director and do a style replication of him. And I was like, I just want an excuse to talk about Baz Luhrmann, actually.
We love you, Mr. Dietrich.
Oh, we do.
We can call it. We can use his name.
Okay.
I'm going to try to get him on here at one point.
That would be delightful. I would be very excited. I've never listened to an episode of your podcast, but...
None have been released yet. We're in the pre-filming stage.
Oh,
We're
okay, that
creating
makes me feel
We're creating
better.
a few weeks lineup here over the summer. So welcome to that.
Okay, well, I completely lost my train of thought. Did a research project. Baz Luhrmann, Moulin Rouge is so specifically inspired by Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
And like it's very obvious
Yes.
in the way that it's inspired by it.
The only original song was written for Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
When they planned it to be a musical.
Part of me wishes that his version of Romeo and Juliet was more akin to Moulin Rouge. Like I enjoy the style that Romeo and Juliet is done in, but it doesn't have the same vibes, and I've not watched that movie enough to accurately explain why.
I went to put it on a few weeks ago for my brother when they decided not to watch it in his grade 9 class.
Oh.
They watched a different version. So I put it on and I turned it off after a few minutes. I was dizzy. Like they talk so quiet and the music is going so loud. They repeat the opening twice, once as a news story, once as this big flashy action movie intro. So many choices are made with that movie, and I think that's sort of what how I feel watching some of the Baz Luhrmann's films is, well, that was a choice. He really committed, and he commits though to everything
Oh yeah,
he does.
he always commits, and like all of his movies sort of have like. Most of his movies have double inspirations for how he puts them together. Like Moulin Rouge is Romeo and Juliet too. Pretty much. But he took like the inspiration of, oh, let's use a different location. Let's tell the story in a different way. He like has these ideas, and in Moulin Rouge, all of them feel so cohesive.
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet, it just doesn't totally sit right with me. Like I enjoy the film because I'm a Baz Luhrmann fan, but like it feels a little too West Side Story.
Yeah.
I
wish that with Romeo and Juliet he had grounded a little bit more. Sort of like we've had tons of of Shakespeare plays redone in modern times. I think of Macbeth set in a military base, which is incredible. You've got Sir Patrick Stewart with his big mustache, and it feels very relatable to us. And I think that's what he's done so well in some of his later films is, okay, this is how this scene that's set in the past would feel to us today.
Mm-hmm.
You have this big rave going on in the Gatsby Mansion. Well, that wasn't how it was in the 20s, but that's how it would be now, and that's how it felt to them at the time.
Yeah, that's what I appreciate about all of the movies he does the most.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something he's also said in multiple interviews that I've watched, is that like Shakespeare, he wants to create a relatable experience for the people watching.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not about being accurate.
Yeah.
It's definitely not about being accurate.
No.
And like he takes songs that are like pop culture relevant,
Yeah.
like Moulin Rouge featuring the song Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana is like such a power play, but it works so well.
I wanted more, and that gets into my big problem with the songs in the movie. They just start and stop and start and stop, and we never really do that musical theater build. We're starting into the song, and we're going to build, and we're going to have to do this big number here. And they do it sort of 2-ish times in the movie, and those became my favorite songs very quickly after the first watch. That's, of course, El Tango to Roxanne,
Yeah.
and Like a Virgin, where Like a Virgin, he starts in real slow, and then they build into this big dance number where they're all singing Like a Virgin in this operatic, hilarious style, and it's really funny and honestly impactful, I think.
Yeah, I think that's on purpose.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely not meant to be a musical more than it is a movie.
Yeah.
Like a Virgin being so like a normal musical song makes it sort of like, it's the tonal break.
Yes.
It's there's just been a bunch of heavy stuff. We're really worried for Satine and Christian.
Yep.
But now they're gonna sing about being a virgin and have little jelly boobies that are shaking around, and it's really funny.
I forgot about the Jello.
I think about it every time, and every time I watch a movie with someone, I like mentally prepare them for
Yes.
it.
I'd say it's actually a very accurate interpretation of that song, too.
Mm-hmm.
You know it, Like a Virgin is told from Madonna's perspective, singing it to a virgin. Like, she's not the person singing the song is not the virgin.
Oh.
Yeah, you did. I bet you didn't know that, dear listener, and Grace seems horrified.
That changes it for me in a negative way.
In a negative way.
That.
See, I don't know about the movie, but Madonna's version is specifically singing to a guy who's never had sex for the first time.
Who's been touched for the very first time.
Exactly. It's sort of exciting, sort of empowering song rather than the sort of women are an object type of song.
Oh,
Virginity
okay.
must be
I
prized.
see what you mean.
I like it better at that interpretation.
Having that explained to me, I do like that better. When you first said that, it seemed almost a little predatory. But like, the power.
Yes.
That makes more sense. I get it
Yes.
now. The other place that they use like the traditional how you lead into a song with a musical is El Tango.
Yes.
Because El Tango is so different from every other song in the musical because it's so powerful. They needed it to be different so you'd really deeply feel it.
Yes.
Like a Virgin is different because they want you to like disconnect from the story a little
Yes.
bit. El Tango wants to like draw you in as much as you can. Like this is the moment where you need to be feeling the most, where this becomes more than just an entertaining experience. This is where you need to feel.
I was like, whoa, my gosh. And it just, I was like, it can't get possibly more than this. More emotionally incredible, more unexplainably epic. And it just does. And
Yeah.
The guy doing Roxanne, I don't know, we couldn't find his actor on the...
He's not an actor.
Yeah.
He's an opera singer.
We thought so. But we couldn't really find him on the IMDb. Because I'd seen it once, and Jack pretended to be my expert. But he's really cool, and he's got this. He's doing this gravelly voice throughout the movie. He's got this. Like, you're gonna hurt yourself, friend. And then And then I realize, as it's happening, like he's starting this tango. Wait, is he gonna, and he starts with, Roxanne. Because they don't need to do it like Sting does, and no one can.
No.
No one can do that thing that he does with his voice.
Mm-mm.
They don't need to.
The other thing that I appreciate about Roxanne, and like all of the songs in Moulin Rouge as a whole, and this is one of my talking points, because this is what I'm so passionate about Moulin Rouge, and why I think it's the best jukebox musical. I'm sorry, Mamma Mia. And I'll get to Mamma Mia in a second.
Me and Jack talked about Mamma Mia.
It's because I've talked to him about Moulin Rouge and Mamma Mia.
It's a useful comparison, I think.
It's very useful because I think both are good examples of a jukebox musical done well,
yes,
but in completely different ways.
Oh, yes.
Moulin Rouge is very transformative in the way that it does jukebox musicals. Like, the song Roxanne by the Police, absolutely not a tango.
No.
But, like...
everything is done in this 1800s style.
Yes, and all of the songs in the show are so closely tied to the themes of the movie. And if they were to just play those songs straight, it would not have the same impact. Like, so many jukebox musicals that I listen to are just a one-to-one, like, cover of the original song.
It's Lucy, and she's in the sky with diamonds. And then they just sing Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. It's terrible, this is an example.
Oh, I thought you were referring to like a specific scenario, and I was like, I've never heard of that in my life.
That's just how it goes. And
yeah.
It's Lucy, guys, and she's in the sky.
That's kind of what I hate about the stage adaptation, is that like these songs that Baz Luhrmann chose are so closely tied to the story, and then he makes them fit thematically by changing the style and changing the placement of the lyrics, and like he really works them in to the story. Listening to like the first half of the Broadway's Elephant Love Medley was an ear sore. It felt like they said, how many popular songs about love can we fit in here?
Yeah, which I felt, so just as a viewer, I felt that about the movie. I'm like, wow, they're just, every love song that ever has and will be is just showing up in here. But it works really well. I haven't listened to the Broadway version.
I encourage you to listen to it. Like, they kind of sing over each other, and it doesn't feel like they're having a conversation.
Yeah.
What's so strong about Elephant Love Medley is they're talking to each other.
Yeah.
He is saying, like, I will love you, and she's saying outwardly, no, you can't. I am a hooker. And internally, she's saying, I am unlovable. I cannot be loved.
Yeah.
They're having this conversation. You could take the music out, and it would be a story.
Yep.
The Broadway version, I do not feel that way. It feels like they're arguing and talking over each other, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
They also put Teenage Dream in there, and like, I'm a Katy Perry fan, but I don't want Katy Perry in my Moulin Rouge.
They also put Firework in there.
Yeah, I know.
Katy Perry's a fun lady.
She's a very fun lady.
But I don't know if she belongs on Broadway.
I don't think her songs are meaningful enough for Broadway. And I don't think Teenage Dream really fits with the story that Christian and Satine are having.
Sorry, Katy Perry. You've been annihilated on the podcast.
Yeah.
She's never going to be a guest now.
No, I'm sorry, Catherine.
Who am I going to get on to talk about Schindler's List?
Not Katy Perry, that's for sure.
Not Katy Perry.
But, like, there was one more point that I wanted to bring up about... Moulin Rouge does the music in, like, two very different ways. Like, there's El Tango, which changes the song completely and paints it in a new light.
Yes.
And then there's Your Song, which is a song that's, like, it's played 100% straight.
Yes.
But Elton John makes perfect sense for this, like, English poet who hasn't felt pain in his life because his dad is rich.
Aww.
Like, there's two very different ways that they use the music. And that's definitely to the movie's benefit. Like, if they transformed every single one and made all of them different, it wouldn't feel as genuine.
Yeah.
Like, if they pulled out a song that was, like, out of left field but made it Christian's, like, I love you song, it wouldn't feel the same. Like, just coming out and singing My Gift Is My Song as a poet, like, that's just genuine and heartfelt.
Yeah.
And here's where I get to Mamma Mia.
Yes.
Because Mamma Mia is a musical written around the songs.
Yes.
They were like, what if we did...
The two leading men in ABBA were like, I want to write a musical now, but we already wrote all of our best songs that we're ever going to write.
Yeah.
Let's just use those.
So they built this story around the music.
Yeah.
And, like, Mamma Mia is a fun experience.
It
but
is.
I am of the opinion that...
It's a Mamma Mia concert.
It's
It's
an ABBA concert.
It's an ABBA concert that they built a story around.
You don't need... The songs and the story don't feel as connected.
Yep.
Like, there's songs that are definitely like, oh, I can see where this would fit into the story.
Yep.
Like, Slipping Through My Fingers. I don't know what that song is called. But, like, that makes sense for a girl going off to get married.
I'm trying to remember now. I'm an ABBA fan. I've seen Mamma Mia twice. So I'm not a Mamma Mia fan, let's be clear. I'm a huge ABBA fan. And I think that's how you know a Mamma Mia fan, is if they love ABBA. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing, is they want to listen to ABBA. And there's also this kind of goofy... It tells a very original story. Mm-hmm. We gotta give credit to Mamma Mia. Who would have thought of that nonsense and applied it to these weird Scandinavian glam rock tunes from the 70s?
Yeah, I enjoy Mamma Mia for that reason. Like, it's the same as Moulin Rouge, where you're not really watching it to get to the end of the story. You're watching it because it's ABBA.
Yeah.
But, like, none of those songs are transformative, and they don't really deepen the story in any way. They're more set dressing.
Yes.
And that's okay. Mm-hmm. Not all musicals have to, or jukebox musicals have to be like Moulin Rouge.
No.
But I think a lot of jukebox musicals would be better if they were able to be as transformative. Mm-hmm. And not just like, oh, my character is feeling sad. Let's sing What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish.
Yes. Or it is one artist, one band, and you do all of their best songs. It seems like a greatest hits album. And it's, I think, a little limiting and boring. And that was sort of what amazed me with Moulin Rouge, is we're going into this. I didn't know it was a jukebox musical. Going into it, I thought that the movie had come from the Broadway production.
Oh, no.
I'd never listened to the Broadway production. I had been like, Moulin Rouge, it's that Red musical.
Yeah, true.
And then I watched the movie and I found out it's come out first, that it's a jukebox musical, that it is pulling songs from all these different places, and that they've redone all of them in a totally new style. It kind of blew my mind there. Still do take issue sometimes with how they are going to flip through different things. Like, we keep flipping through Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend and Smells Like Teen Spirit. And I felt a little frustrated watching it there. I'm like, what is happening here? Mm-hmm. It just keeps starting and stopping. And I think that's a Baz Luhrmann problem as much as it is a Moulin Rouge problem.
It's definitely, like, Baz Luhrmann's style.
Mm-hmm.
But that specific scene, it's done with some intent. Like, it definitely makes the viewer feel disoriented.
Yeah.
Which is meant to reflect Christian, because he is, like, drunk off his ass on absinthe. Can I swear on this podcast?
Yes.
Okay. I won't say anything too bad, but, like, he's absolutely wasted on absinthe right now. He's in a completely new world. He has no idea what's going on. This poor, sweet summer child that wanted to be a romantic poet is now in a strip club, and he does not know what to do with himself.
It's true.
But you're definitely right where it can be very alienating, especially on a first watch.
Yeah. And then you have scenes where characters that are just sped up out of nowhere. I don't like this Baz Luhrmann thing where suddenly we're going to play this scene at 2x speed.
I actually love it.
Like, why? No other director is doing it. It's not a trend that's catching on.
No other director has the balls. It's so campy.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes me laugh anytime it happens.
Feels like I'm watching Little Rascals.
Yes.
When they needed to make the kids run, but kids can't run.
It feels like that one clip in Twilight. I just watched Twilight with Andy last night. Andy's my boyfriend, for those of you that don't know.
I've been trying to save him from this moment.
But he's read all of the books. It's fine.
He read the books?
He's never watched the movies, though. Anyway, there's a scene where they did a 360 view of Bella and Edward, like, the scene where he's like, say it, a vampire. And they definitely like did not have a drone, but it did not move at the speed they wanted to, so they sped it up, and it looked so bad and choppy.
Yeah.
Oh, I hated it so much. And then they ended the cut like on a 3/4 shot of both of them, and then they cut to a different 3/4 shot of both of them, and it was so bad. Anyway, Baz Luhrmann, he does it with intent. I mean, everything in a movie is done with intent, obviously.
Yeah.
But the way he does it...
He plans it very clearly. Like, that is, we need to plan this scene so that I can speed it up later.
Yeah, like, that's hard to do. And a lot of his scenes are timed to music as well.
Which is insane. And boy, was the future about to get strange.
From 2001 onward?
From 2001 onward. Broadway has been through it.
Mm-hmm.
It nearly died. But it's actually coming back now. Broadway's doing really well this year.
How much of that can you credit to Hamilton?
It's entered the long-running camp now, Hamilton. Hamilton, Hadestown, there's a handful that have now climbed their way onto the long runners, and they're set in. But some of the big ones that are actually now major sellers on Broadway are Back to the Future, the musical, which is a show that can only exist on Broadway. There will never be a high school production of Back to the Future, the musical. They have a flying car in that musical.
Oh, yeah, okay, never mind.
They fly the car off the stage at the end of the show. Max said he had no idea how it happened because it looked like it in the movie, right?
Wow.
Yeah. They have an actual car on stage driving around.
Like just straight up a car?
It's a really, really expensive car that is fancily designed to be a prop piece that can go driving around on their stage.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a show that can only exist on Broadway, and that's why it's doing so well.
Mm-hmm.
And then other ones that are doing well, some of the revivals, like the revival of Cabaret, is set in now for the long haul. And
That's good.
Shucked was a musical about corn that went crazy. People went crazy for this. It was the best reviewed show on Broadway.
About corn?
About corn.
Have you ever read the one act, 3 Turkeys Waiting for Corn?
I did, because it sits in our theater on Miss Seymour's desk. She asked, hey, do you want to do 3 turkeys to someone? Because we were designing our lineup. And it's really hard to find one act plays, good ones. Because normally people just write them themselves. Because it's so easy to write 11 pages down. But
Yeah. When I first did one act in grade 9, someone did 3 Turkeys Waiting for Corn, and Kezia was one of those turkeys. And she did very well.
God damn. One of my grandma, she talks about this. Her favorite play she's ever seen was done in Rostern.
Oh, that's where my Nana's from.
It's just called Chickens.
What?
And there were so many chickens, and they continued to be chickens, even if whether or not they were talking or doing anything. And it was an involved play. It started at a weird time because the play starts with a train arriving at a train station, and they timed it so that the real train that was supposed to go past at that time every day would go past as the train showing up.
That's wild.
Right?
How have I never heard of this?
It was like a weird little dinky Rostern production that ran for a few weeks. Just a fun little thing that they did.
That's the sort of thing my Nana should have called me about.
It happened decades ago.
No!
Before you were born.
Dang it!
Yeah, that's a sad one, I am sorry to say.
That is really sad. I think there should be a roster and revival of
Rostern
Chickens
revival.
2025.
That's what's going to Broadway next.
Yes.
We're going to build a train in New York. They probably have trains in New York.
Maybe.
Is
Who
the
knows?
subway a train?
I count it as a train.
Yeah. We're off topic now, but that's okay.
I was gonna go further off topic and talk about how like a lot of musicals on Broadway, it seems, are just like how most movies are nowadays, where it's a recreation of something else, banking off that nostalgia.
Yes. There's a guy who's been doing that, who you may have heard of, because he's the producer of Moulin Rouge. I don't remember his name.
I actually don't know the producer.
See, the producer of Moulin Rouge, the musical on Broadway.
No! Okay, definitely don't know him.
He starts the production with this in mind. He wants to turn the theater into the Moulin Rouge. Have you seen photos of the theater?
I have. It's stunning.
It is stunning. He wants to start this experience right as you get in there.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't design it like the Moulin Rouge in the movie, which is run down and dilapidated. He creates this beautiful scenic thing that he takes more inspiration from the original Moulin Rouge theater in France. And he goes there and he's got all these different pieces and he pulls from this era in French culture. And you might have heard of a few of the other shows that he's produced. He produced a revival of 1776, which was pretty successful initially. He produced that Andrew Jackson musical, which no one remembers, but it was actually pretty successful.
Is it called the Andrew Jackson musical?
No, it's called something like Jackson.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. But he's produced one that has now entered the long-running camp, and that's Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
Yep.
I have opinions on that musical as well.
Yep.
I really like it.
Uh-huh.
I think it's good. I think the set for that show is phenomenal, and I suppose I can thank this guy for it. But again, it exists in that camp of like, this movie exists. The musical existing for it is cool. Like, I feel the same about Heathers.
Yeah.
Heathers having a musical, very cool.
I like the musical better.
I also like the musical of Heathers a lot better.
It does things, I think I would have believed that it was a musical to start with, really.
I did when I first heard Heathers.
It's so good. Heathers, I have to get someone on who's never seen that before.
Yeah, but like, there's a lot of musicals that were very popular when I was in like grade 7, 8, 9.
When
14.
you were in your formative years.
Oh yeah, getting into musical theater.
Yeah.
Like Heathers, Be More Chill, Dear Evan Hansen, like my big three.
Two of those are in my F tier.
Yeah, I know. I saw a local production of Be More Chill, and I really enjoyed it. I think the local people did fantastic.
I've never seen Be More Chill. It's in my F tier because my enemy calls it their favorite musical. Everyone has a musical theater enemy, and automatically their favorite show becomes your least favorite show.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm glad I haven't met someone I don't like who loves Moulin Rouge.
Yeah, I hope to God you never do. I mean, I really hate the musical production.
Yeah.
I think it's unnecessary. I think making a musical into a musical is an objectively dumb decision.
Yeah.
I think if you're gonna adapt Moulin Rouge to the stage, it should be a 1-to-1 adaptation.
Yeah. Although this guy, what he does when he does these productions, when he produces a musical, is he wants to find something different to say for Broadway. And that's what he did with Beetlejuice, is he shifted the focus from, I don't know who the couple is who died, who's now trying to get their house back or whatever.
Yeah.
I've never seen the movie. But he shifts it to the Winona Ryder's character. Also, how is it that two of the best Broadway adaptations are starring Winona Ryder?
Well,
She just has that voice.
she's just that good.
She's just that... I love Winona Ryder.
But I feel like that's such a weird take to have with Moulin Rouge. Like, there's a story that Moulin Rouge tells.
Yeah.
And it's the love and death, it's the Romeo and Juliet story.
Yes.
But underneath that is, I think, an equally as interesting story that people don't talk enough about. The namesake of the movie, Moulin Rouge. They're telling this story, and literally at the end, Christian says, this is a story about a place, about a people, and a love that will live forever.
Yes.
It's a story about the place.
And they're real people.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what's his name?
Harold Zidler?
Harold Ziegler, he's a real person. The short person, the little person.
Toulouse.
Which Toulouse-Lautrec is the part of the movie that did not age well at all. Because you have a heighted person playing a little person doing that voice, which is an acting choice.
Yeah. Toulouse was always, like, a very middling character for me.
Like, this isn't funny. What's happening?
I never quite understood his presence in the movie. Like, he definitely needs to be there for, like, the historical purposes and having, like, that in for Christian. But he doesn't do much. And then at the end, he's like, the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. And I don't like how he puts such emphasis on the O's. Love.
This is the real guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
I like his hat.
I do too. I feel like the classic go-to for casting a little person is Peter Dinklage. I love that guy.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of Peter Dinklage. I think he's very cool.
He's too short to play Toulouse-Lautrec.
Oh.
Toulouse-Lautrec
How-
doesn't look that short.
No, but like, I would want Peter Dinklage in my Moulin Rouge.
Can he sing?
I don't know, but I'm a big fan. I like him.
But also, Toulouse-Lautrec was the guy who designed all these posters. That's him.
Okay, why didn't they talk about that in the movie? That'd be interesting. In the movie, Toulouse is like a playwright producer guy.
Yeah, this is Toulouse-Lautrec.
Huh.
You guys, honestly, viewers at home, you should go, my listeners at home, go look up Toulouse-Lautrec. He's a very talented artist. He did a lot of great poster work. Definitely, you can still see his stuff living on today.
Oh, yeah. I can look at that and see just in my mind a billion times that's been parodied and
Yes.
like redone.
Very iconic. And then they have, I don't know, "My love will go on." It reminded, you know what I'm reminded of now? He's doing the wedding guy in The Princess Bride.
Oh my god.
That's our next episode, ladies and gentlemen, by
Really?
the way. Yep, episode.
Oh my
Our
god.
next episode, Salongo and Jack are coming on to do The Princess Bride.
That's interesting.
Yep.
My ex-boyfriend hated The Princess Bride for the simple reason of it's too overrated.
Dump him.
I did.
Good.
I did.
I remember when you did. It was a great, momentous occasion. We all cheered.
Yeah. Andy loves The Princess Bride. His family loves The Princess Bride. Don't tell anyone that. Maybe cut that out. That's maybe a little embarrassing to say for like high school boyfriend. Anyway,
Cut that out, future Ethan. Don't mention.
hold on. Completely off topic.
Yeah, this is getting cut out. We could end it here, honestly. Let's wait. Okay, we got to do our rating.
Oh,
For the Silence of the Lambs, we did lambs out of 10. We're gonna do burlesque dancers out of 10.
awesome. I think Moulin Rouge is absolutely worth watching.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone that doesn't enjoy musicals, though, will absolutely despise this movie.
Do you want to hear what Jack gave burlesque dancers out of 10?
What did he give?
He gave it a 9 burlesque dancers out of 10. And I asked him what you would give it, and you said a 10.
Oh, God, yeah.
Actually, he didn't give 9 burlesque dancers. He gave 90 tango dancers. Which I said, what is the... No, wait, he gave 9 tango dancers, to which I said, what's a tango dancer to burlesque dancer conversion rate? And he said 1 to 10. So I said, you gave it 90 burlesque dancers out of 10? And then I'm like, that's a 900% score, Jack.
Yeah.
Let's round it down to 9. Drop to 0.
Yeah, I give it a 10 out of 10, mostly because I am just very passionate about the idea of love.
Yeah.
And this movie preaches love.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's about. It's also about, like, the Moulin Rouge and Satine being trapped and everyone feeling trapped in the Moulin Rouge. But, like, even if you don't watch it for the deep plot at all, it's just so fun.
Yep.
Like the... I don't even know what the song is titled, but, like, the Spectacular.
Spectacular.
No, what's in the vernacular?
Jack was like, what song is that based off? It's the Can.
It's the
Jack.
Can.
Jack.
And it's so funny.
Yes.
Like a Virgin, hilarious. El
Yes.
Tango de Roxanne, one of the greatest movie musical experiences you will ever have.
Yeah, Eat Your Heart Out, Winner Takes It All.
Yeah, eat your heart out, Mamma Mia. This is the best jukebox musical. Hands down.
Have you seen that one about the Beatles called Yesterday?
I've seen it once.
It's pretty good.
It's definitely good.
It's a smart concept, I think. The idea, it's a good idea.
It's a
And
very good
And
idea.
I think that's what sells me on a jukebox musical is, are we telling a story that services this music that we're now performing here? And Moulin Rouge, I think I have to throw out that system. Because this is a show that shows that you can do it without a theme, without an idea. You just have your story you're trying to tell, and you take music that already exists and you put it there where it is going to tell that story better.
Yeah, because why would you need to write new music if good music already exists?
got-
That's what I think the point of a jukebox musical should be.
It's got some editing things that I don't love.
I love it. Sorry.
Some acting choices that haven't aged well
True.
with castings. And when I originally recorded this, I didn't score it as high as I'm about to now after talking to you about it. I'm going to give it an 8.5 burlesque dancers out of 10. You just got one pair of legs.
Huh?
Just no,
Oh.
just a pair of legs dancing.
I see. I thought you like cut them in half, so you have like one half of a lady dancing on one leg.
That sounds painful.
Well, sometimes that's just how it is. Maybe she was born that way. Maybe she had a tragic accident. I don't know.
She just has one half of a face,
Yeah.
one nostril,
Yeah.
one ear,
Yeah.
14 teeth.
I mean, I guess.
I think you should have 28 in both sides. That's how many I have.
Well, it's not the amount of teeth, but like, I don't want to think about the logistics of that.
Yeah, no.
I give
know
this
someone
movie a 10 out of 10.
I gave it an 8.5. I know someone with 14 teeth. They're the best. You've never met them, but they're the best. You'd love them.
14 teeth? Is it like...
They had, I'll tell you when we're done recording.
Okay.
All right, and that has been the Moulin Rouge podcast. Sorry that it's 80 minutes long as of recording this right now. I'm going to edit that down.
Yeah.
So coming to you in 2029 when I'm done editing this.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Hello, I am your host, Ethan, here with an extra special outro to this Moulin Rouge podcast. I recorded an additional 40 minutes with Jack, which have been cut out of the final version of the podcast. But available on our YouTube channel in the weeks to come will be a bonus recording of me and Jack, so stay tuned for that. And stay tuned for next week, where we will be covering The Princess Bride with me, Jack, and Salongo. Until then, keep watching movies.